Welcome back. We continue live right here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock. And mercifully, that'll come quicker than I hope right now. Apologize for the voice once again, but call me and do some talking yourself. We have a lot of topics to get into. Pitt Panthers trying to pull off a nice upset if they can complete this deal against Iowa. They lead that game in the second half and got some nice performances by some of their young players. But what a win for the Penguins tonight on the road, doing what they do, and that is coming up with some good efforts from, Sidney Crosby in the top line, of course. Crosby on another backhand goal, but you get goals from Derek Grant, Riley Sheahan. That was his first in 20 games. And also Zach Aston Reese, and good goaltending by Casey DeSmith. So a big win and a motivated kind of win for them. They needed one like that on the road as they beat the Jets tonight 4-3. Let's go to Dave in Westview. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Sorry about your voice, man.
It's bound to happen.
Hey, I just want to make two comments and see what you think. You know what? Let's take a delay of game penalty instead of giving up our timeouts in the third quarter, the way they did. And then let's run it on third and fourth down there because, you know what I mean? We got 4 tries to get it in there. And these interceptions coming at the last of the Jaguars, got lucky.
Right.
Got lucky on that one. It was called, 2 in a row, actually, and we won. Luckily, then he did it again. So, you know what I mean?
Well, I will say, first
think.
of all, I don't agree with your assessment that take a 5-yard penalty to conserve a timeout because that drive could be big. You never want to give up yards like that. And as it turned out, they didn't use the last timeout. So really, that was not a factor. I agree with you in the heavy format in the goal line. I would have preferred Roosevelt next, James Conner, behind a really good offensive line, and just say run the ball. Conner has 10.
That's right.
And, judging by what Coach Tomlin said today, they haven't lost any confidence necessarily in James Conner, so put him in there. That's what he does best. He's one of the best guys in the league in terms of scoring touchdowns from the running back position. So I would just have done it down after down and challenged my team. Push it in there.
That's right.
Even though Denver knew it was going to come. All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let's go to Joe in line 4 in Mount Gallitzin. Hey, Joe.
Good evening, Bob. Hope your voice gets better. That's not good when
I'm
when
sorry
that happens,
to kind
obviously.
of torment you guys and put yourself through listening to this, but what am I going to do? Go ahead.
Just hang in there, buddy. Bob, I wanted to talk to you about something Boomer Esiason said, that the Steelers are possessed by the New England Patriots. I don't necessarily agree that they're possessed by them, but I think they got to come up to their level. They really have to make an effort to beat these teams they should beat. That does not take anything away from the Denver Broncos. Denver played well, but we should have won that game. And that's the difference. New England wins those kind of games. Not only beating them head-to-head, but we got to win the games we need to win to secure at least that second-round bye and face up to that nemesis and finally beat them. Until we do that, we're going to be sitting home watching, and they're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well,
thanks, Bob.
Thank
I'll hang
you.
up and listen to your response.
All right, Joe. What I will say is that's a loss that can cost you seeding, no doubt. Instead of a second seed potentially, you're looking at a third or a fourth, and you don't want that to happen. Having said that, there's still some games left, including a head-to-head game against New England. So I think if they can manage the next 2 games and get to 9-3-1, and I think they can, I think they'll beat the Chargers. Even though San Diego is a very good team this year, I still like them at home, and I think they'll go to Oakland. They may struggle, but they're not going to lose to that bad team. So they're 9-3-1, and they'd have the same amount of losses as New England. If they beat New England head-to-head, they would have the advantage there, but they got to worry about New Orleans after that. So there's a lot of components to this. But you're right, you don't like to lose those games against teams that you have, an advantage on, and they certainly doubled them up in yards. They, did what they had to do, a de facto run game through their pass game, 35 minutes of time in possession. They did everything they had to do except they made too many mistakes. It's as simple as that. And you can't make those, and that's the one thing Tomlin is really concerned about. Debbie in Sheridan. Hey, Debbie, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Thank you, Bob, for taking my call.
Sure.
I've been trying to get this in there since Sunday. In spite of everything I said about Conner, you don't think he's just, confident that now the bell's off the picture, he got the job, and he ain't got to do what he was doing before?
I don't sense a lack of confidence for James Conner at all. I don't. I think it's just a matter of, sometimes it was game plan, and the Steelers do like using the pass game as their run game at times. And, you can, as long as you move the ball and occupy the clock, that's a good thing. So, but for a guy like James Conner, I think he does better when the more work he gets. He seems to do that. All the good backs do that. The more work they get, the better they get as the game goes on. And so far, he hasn't been able to get that ball so much. He had a nice run on the screen pass, only to fumble in that game. That was a big play because it was about to put in the red zone. They threw a lot of points away in that game, and they just simply cannot afford that. But I don't have any problem with James Conner. I don't. I think he's going to be in there, and I think you're going to see him run the ball successfully this week against the Chargers. 412-575-2600 is the number. Pitt's still leading now 62-59 with under 7 minutes left in that game. So that would be a huge program-boosting kind of win. Let's go to Mike in Bethel Park. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, hey, Bob. Long time watching the Pitt back to when Dr. Roy Chipman had them,
Sure.
the early 70s. But I like what they're doing. First time get to watch them all year. They finally got a point guard that can dribble, drive, penetrate, and break defenses down. And that Capel really knows basketball. And they even said as much. He's going to bring some bigs in next year. So that, you know, what I'm seeing tonight, finally, you know, you never really had that last 12, 14 years where a guard could come in and just destroy a defense. And we got what I think that's a nice building block for the future.
No doubt about it. And they got young kids. They're going to build around these kids. He's sprinkling the veterans in, and he's getting the kind of production he wants to see. So now, you know, the task is going to be closing out a team like this on the road. If they can do it, it certainly bodes well for them. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate that. Let's go out to Marilyn in Munhall. Hey, Marilyn, how are you?
Hi, Bob. Sorry about your voice.
Thanks.
Drink a lot of water. That'll hydrate you.
I'm trying.
But my question is about Pearson. How do you think he's fitting into the chemistry of the Penguins?
Well, so far so good. 3 goals and an assist. He seems to have a spot on that Malkin line, and he seems to give them a little edge in terms of going into the corners and winning pucks and going in front of the net. So I like him so far. We'll see. Carl Hagelin, by the way, you might have seen, has an injury. He's going to be out for a few weeks with Los Angeles. So hopefully Tanner Pearson can make consistent dividends. I don't expect him to score 20 goals, but I do expect him to complement that line with Malkin and Phil Kessel. All right, let's go to line 1. That's Ed in Monroeville. Ed, welcome to the Sports Call. How are you?
Good, Bob. Sorry about the voice as well.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment about the Steeler game this past weekend. Just a few weeks ago, there was a big thing that Mike Tomlin said after the Carolina game. He said, like, you know, we're not as good, so don't get excited. And I think the same thing kind of applies this week. The Steelers aren't that bad. Denver's a pretty good team.
Oh, I agree.
And frankly, I think that, you know, maybe if the Steelers would have cleaned up a little bit of mistakes in the game, maybe an interception or a turnover, would have been a lot different. So the Steelers just got to play better moving forward in the most important games of the season.
I agree with that. And I, you know, I'm one of those people who look at the entire game. I know they made mistakes, but to me, they showed you a lot of positive stuff in that game. And there's a lot to build on. I've liked what I've seen from their offense. I think their defense has been better, not this game withstanding. You know, they never came up with a play to bail their offense out after some turnovers, and that has to happen. This is really the first game that I saw that. After 6 in a row, they were pretty good. So I'm pretty much encouraged by what I see. They still have to win some tough games down the stretch, and they're not going to be easy for them. They have maybe the toughest stretch of anybody in the playoffs picture at this point. Denver's a team to watch out for. They've beaten 2 playoff teams in a row in the Chargers and the Steelers, and their schedule lightens up. And don't forget about the Texans, who won in a row after they lost their first 3 to start the season. So they could be looking at a number 2 seed as well, and their schedule is manageable too. So we'll take a break on that note. More calls on the way. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on the Bordas and Bordas. Joining us tonight, and my apologies for my voice. We'll be right back.